Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I feel like it's been forever since I said those words. I know I've taken a little bit of a break over the last few weeks, but I'm back and I am getting back into the swing of things. Today's video is sort of like a sit down, chit chat, get ready with me, super casual. I'm gonna be sitting down and doing my makeup. I actually filmed this the other day, but I totally forgot to film an intro because like I said, it's been a little while. But in today's video, I get a little emotional. I'm filling you in on what we've been up to the last few weeks and kind of what's been going on with our family and why I've been missing and had to take a step back from YouTube. So bear with me. It's rambly, it's chit-chatty. We're just hanging out and catching up in today's video. I feel like I need to give a little bit of a trigger warning. I'm gonna be talking about COVID, kind of the emotions that come along with that and the last couple years and this past holiday season and everything like that. So nothing major. Our family is all healthy and happy now, but we have some catching up to do, so let's get into it. Okay, hopefully this lighting is okay. It's been so long since I've done this. I feel like I don't even know what I'm doing right now, but I have my curling iron plugged in. I'm at my little makeup station here and all my makeup is still packed from our recent trip to Ohio, so I'm just kind of gonna like unpack it while I get ready, I guess. So let's just get into it. So it's been a long time, as you guys have probably seen. I've had some people on Instagram asking me like if I quit YouTube or anything like that. I definitely have not. I am back. I'm feeling good. I am motivated for the new year. I'm so sorry I had to take some time off and kind of without warning. I feel like this video, this like catch up video, I have good news and I have bad news. So the good news, if you follow me on Instagram, you already know, but kind of our big announcement is that we bought a house. And not a house in California. We actually bought a house in our hometown in Ohio. We are not moving. I know that's everyone's, if this is the first time you're hearing that, I know that's gonna be everyone's first question. We're not moving. We actually bought a house as a second house slash vacation home. And then we're also going to Airbnb it out when we're not there. So it's like an investment property too, but it's been like such a long journey and this is actually not the way I planned on announcing it or sharing it. I figured I would do this like big announcement video and make it super exciting and glitzy and glammy, not glitzy, but you know, make it this whole big thing. And then the last month has just been like kind of a shit show for lack of a better word. I'm sorry to just like jump in swearing with you guys, but it's been a roller coaster. It's been kind of a rough month. I've shared a lot of this over on Instagram and I'm sorry, I'm gonna multitask while I do my makeup, but I've shared a lot of this on Instagram. So if you guys follow me there, you've already seen this, and if you don't follow me there, what are you doing? Please follow me so we can hang out and you can get all the details. I love Instagram just because it's so easy. It's so like quick and in the moment in real time and much more at my fingertips. So I can like actually connect with you guys there versus YouTube. It's like somewhat produced. Even when it's real life, it's produced because you have to sit down and edit and go through things and upload it and wait for like make a thumbnail, all that stuff. So oftentimes Instagram is like the first place to hear about what's going on with me. But anyway, so we bought this house. It's beautiful and we love it. And we are officially homeowners now, which is super cool because if you guys have been around here for a little bit, then you know that we rent our house that we live in California. And we will eventually buy in California too, hopefully within the next year or so. But the Ohio thing has been like a goal of ours for a really long time. And I actually did vlog while we were in Ohio recently. And so I'll save like the whole story and the whole background for that video because I just need to edit that and get it up for you guys. But before I just like came back with that, I wanted to get this video out first to sort of explain myself a little bit for where I've been and like what's been going on with us. So anyways, we bought this house. And it's been a few months in the process and then we finally got the keys. I feel like I need to move this pampas grass because it just is like looking like an extension of my hair when it's not. We finally got the keys mid-December and so we decided we would go back to Ohio to get the keys to our house, to enter it for the first time and get furniture in there and set it up and go back mid-December and then stay through the holidays. So we planned on being there for like 3 weeks total and being there for Christmas and New Year's and doing the holidays with our family and my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law and their son Ezra, my godson, who you guys have probably seen on this channel a little bit. They all came to stay with us too and it was great. We spent the first couple weeks of the trip like just getting settled into the house It was a lot of like building furniture and running to Target and Walmart every single day to get household items. Like what was cool about that house is that we started from scratch with everything. So we needed like hand soaps and toilet paper and hand towels and everything you could imagine. So it was a lot of work, but it was super fun. And then Christmas came. We did Christmas Eve and Christmas Day with our family in town. We didn't do anything huge or big or crazy. We had already been there for a couple weeks, but we just had like a family dinner with our immediate family and we got exposed to COVID. We found out the day after Christmas. Jordan's sister called us and was like, yeah, so-and-so who we were just with the night before tested positive. He had tested negative right before Christmas, right before we saw him. And then 2 days later, he tested positive. So we were like, okay, shit. And that's sort of when the feeling sank. Everyone in our house tested positive as well. You know, we're in this house that is ours, but is not our home. We're away from our dogs, away from all our like comfort of the house we live in daily. We also have this other family living with us temporarily while we're staying there. And we're in super, super cold weather. We live in California. We're not used to not being able to like go for walks and go outside. So I'm kind of getting distracted. I'm babbling at this point. Jordan's brother was the first one to test positive, and then Jordan tested positive, and then the next day Arlo tested positive. And I was so emotional getting their results. Like I knew that I would probably end up sick, and I was prepared for myself to be sick, but I was not prepared mentally to hear that my husband had COVID or to hear that my baby had COVID. And it was really hard. Like when I got Arlo's positive result, I had this weird like association back to when I was pregnant with him, and I put out that video on here when the pandemic first started, and I was so scared and I was so uneasy and anxious about giving birth in a couple weeks. And I never would have imagined back then that that baby I was pregnant with, nearly 2 years later, that baby would test positive for COVID. And it's everywhere right now. Like everyone has it, and that's not dismissing it. That's not like diminishing it at all. It is a scary thing, but I wanted to share with you guys because I share everything with you guys. And it was this really big thing we went through as a family, especially getting in this new house we just bought. You know, I had this idea built up of what the holidays would look like and what us settling into that house would look like, and New Year's. And none of that was what it really was. We were all sick. We couldn't see any of our friends in our hometown. We couldn't, you know, it sounds very minor now looking back on it, but like I had planned we were gonna do like a New Year's get together and have it be like a housewarming party with our friends in town and stuff. We couldn't do that. I just felt emotionally like crushed, and I was scared, and I also started to get sick, and so I just wasn't in a place to like share it with people because, you know, I was seeing other like influencers on Instagram or people share that they had COVID, and then they would get like just dragged through the mud by people and get like endless DMs about it and criticism and hate, and I was not mentally in a place to get any of that. I was like, you know what, screw this, my baby is sick, my husband's sick, I'm like waiting to test positive any day now, which I did, and I cannot handle the opinions and the negativity of anyone right now. Like, not my friends, not my family, and especially not people on the internet. Like I just was not at a place to like mentally share it. And so I kind of stepped back a bit, and it's sad because I had, like I said, I vlogged while we first got in the house, and I will edit that after this video and I'll put that up so you guys can still do that. I have like some Target hauls, and I share like just a little bit of the behind the scenes of the house. And then before we left, I did get footage of it like decorated and fully put together and stuff. At least what we were able to do on this trip, which we got a lot done decoration wise because we were quarantined for so long. Because of the way our positives were kind of staggered a little bit, we ended up spending 2.5 weeks like quarantined in the house. And so because we couldn't leave, we couldn't fly back to California until we were all negative, until we were all clear to go. So it sucked because we ended up having to keep extending our stay. We had to keep extending the dog's boarding. We ended up spending like almost $5,000 in dog boarding fees and parking fees because we didn't expect to have our car parked that long at the airport. So it's just been like, there was a while there that we I was just like, I don't know when we'll be able to go back to our house. I don't know when we'll be able to go home. I don't know when we'll be able to get our dogs. And it just like, it sucked. And you can see I'm like still emotional about it. So that's why it's been hard to like find the energy. First of all, I'm still kind of sick. So it's been hard to find the energy and the inspiration to want to like share. But also it's like, it's been hard to find like the mental strength to just like sit down and share about it, because it more like, yes, we physically got sick, but for me, like the mental was the hardest part. And then it was like, once I overcame the mental part, the physical symptoms set in. I actually didn't end up feeling sick until like day 4 or 5 of me having COVID. And then, you know, I got sick. I mean, I feel really lucky that like all things considered, our symptoms were mild based on what you could experience, but it's still like I've been down for the count. And now, you know, I've been negative for a few days now, and I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I certainly can. When I'm talking, I feel like I sound like I'm underwater because my ears are so clogged. I'm like super raspy. I'm coughing constantly, like exhausted, fatigue has set in. It's like third trimester, it's like first trimester fatigue, but without the baby. So it's just been wild. And then it also, you know, I was talking to a couple of you guys on Instagram, and it's almost like similar to, you know, women in 2020 when the world kind of shut down back then, brides and pregnant women who had to cancel their weddings or their baby showers or whatever it might be. You kind of mourn the loss of what you expected that time period to look like. And I already went through that postpartum with Arlo, you know. I had to kind of like mentally mourn the loss of what the postpartum period would look like in terms of like support and family and visits and doctor's appointments and outings and stuff. My time period having a baby was so different than what I expected when I got pregnant. And then the holiday season this past holidays was exactly that all over again. So it was almost like traumatic in a way, and like reliving what and I know a lot of you guys went through a couple years ago as well too. So like I said, all things considered, I feel like so lucky that none of us were hospitalized. Jordan almost went in at one point because his breathing felt so hard. Like it's hard. It's a weird feeling. Like it's like sitting here right now is like uncomfortable talking. It like hurts to talk. It's like, you know, I get winded so easily, and he was feeling that too. And he almost went in to get it at one point checked out, but didn't. And, you know, we all have been okay, all things considered, and we're all negative now, thank God. So we are all past that. You know, the babies were fine, really. I mean, you know, it's scary thinking about, and I'm just totally talking like candidly right now. So I know people watching this will probably have differing opinions than how I am explaining this or approaching this, but this is just like my experience. And honestly, that's been partially what's been like holding me back from sharing along the way, because I'm just like, this is a hard thing and it's a sensitive subject and people get up in arms about it. And there's no way that everybody who watches these videos is going to agree with the way I'm explaining it, or the way I'm getting emotional about it, or the things I'm worried about right now. So at first I was just like, there's no way for me to explain this without somehow offending someone. And now that we are through it, you know, I really wanted to wait until we were through it, because I knew back then, even though it was just a couple weeks ago, I knew back then I wasn't like mentally in a place to sit here to explain it, to sort of take the criticisms that might come with it. And now that we're through it, I honestly just like don't give a flying you know what. Like, I want to share my life. I want to feel comfortable doing that. And I am okay if not everybody's happy with the way I'm doing that. Like, this last month has showed me like what's important, what I should be worried about. And the opinions of the internet is not one of those things. I feel like I learned a lot in the last few weeks about like what's important to me, what I want to carry with me into this year, what I want to put my energy into this year. And yeah, you know, internet hate is just not one of those things. I just don't care. Like, I can't care. I want to feel comfortable being me and sharing my life. And I didn't like feeling like silenced these last couple weeks, and it wasn't anyone doing that. It was honestly me. It was like my fear was silencing me sharing that like rough point that we went through. And now that we're through it, I want to be able to feel comfortable being like, you know what? Yeah, that was a really big hurdle for our family. This is what we just went through. This is what's going on. Some people hopefully can relate to it. I know some people may not. Like, I think the last couple years I've spent so much time trying to please everybody and being like somewhat filtered online because I, you know, got some, over the last couple years I've gotten some negativity that's like really stuck with me, and I'm just like releasing it now because I just like, I don't know, I just, like I said, my whole perspective of like what's important has shifted. And that's kind of babbly, but anyways, I feel really lucky, going back to just like gratitude, I feel really lucky that like we are all okay. Arlo is okay. And he was honestly the one least impacted in terms of symptoms wise. He had a little fever at first, like the day before he tested positive, the night before he had a little fever. And so I somewhat knew it was coming only because Jordan had tested positive that day, and then that night Arlo had a fever. But if it wasn't for Jordan testing positive, I would have thought it was teething because it was a low-grade fever and his spirits were fine. He had like rosy cheeks. At one point we tried taking his temperature and the thermometer read food because it's like a dual food thermometer or something. And we were cracking up because Arlo eats so much food. He is like a tank, and we were like, of course Arlo's thermometer would read food because that's like all he is. And then after, you know, we gave him some medicine, and after a day or so the low-grade fever went away, and he really showed like no symptoms. He didn't even have a cough. And so I'm just so thankful that, you know, if we as parents are going to get sick, at least our baby isn't feeling as crappy as we were, because definitely have been feeling crappy. And that's what would kill me, is like if either of our kids were feeling that way, and they weren't. Christian actually never tested positive. When Arlo tested positive, Christian was still negative and I was still negative at that time. And then I tested positive a day or so later, and Christian hated the test so much that I just wanted to spare him that experience. And I just was like, you know what, we're all quarantining anyways, so I'm gonna figure you have it. The doctors told us to assume he had it, and we did our time, and we all tested negative and were able to come back. I did test him, you know, at the point that I tested myself after my 10 days. I did test Christian again, and him and Arlo and Jordan and I, we all were negative. So, you know, I felt good about that. He was like desperate to return to real life and see his friends again. It had been a month since he was at school, and it had been a month since we came back, and it was 29 nights. We were gone for 29 nights, and you know, it really was only like an extra week or so more than we originally planned. We were going to be gone for 3 weeks. But something about not knowing when it would end and being stuck inside the house more than half that time, it just made it feel like it was like the longest thing ever. And then on top of that, it was like extra cold that week. Like, you know, Ohio can have weather that's kind of up and down. So you might have like a 50-degree day one day, and the next day it's like 20 degrees. And the whole time we were quarantined, it was like in the 20s. It would snow, which was really beautiful. Actually, I loved being able to watch the snow from our kitchen window. But what that meant was like we couldn't even really get outside to get fresh air because it was just so cold. And we still tried to like go on walks a little bit as we could, or play in the backyard. Christian actually, for Christmas, Jordan got them this like big Jeep. We call it a Jeep. It's not a Jeep. It's actually like a Power Wheels ATV something. But Christian loves driving it. We left it at the house in Ohio so that he has it every time we go back there. But that was sort of like his sense of outdoorsiness. It was like we'd get like an hour of battery time with that thing, and Christian would drive it into the ground. And like I said, he felt fine. Arlo felt fine. So Christian was totally up for it. But it was hard when we were sick trying to take care of both of them and, you know, prioritize somewhat working from a distance. Like my work really had to take a back burner or a back seat while we were there, and even Jordan took so much time off work while we were there, and that's why you haven't seen me in this space. That's why I haven't been able to like sit down and film anything. And I also just like haven't really been feeling like creative or motivated. It was kind of like any energy I had needed to go to like surviving, like mentally, physically, all of it. Like it just needed to go towards taking care of the kids and taking care of myself. So, you know, I would try and do like a 5-minute Peloton workout, and I was exhausted at the end of it. Like I would do a 5 or 10-minute workout and feel like I had worked out for an hour and a half, but I did it, you know. Or I would shower, or I still got myself ready and put makeup on, or would do my hair even when I knew we were not leaving the house whatsoever that day, because it just helped me feel like human a little bit. And now, you know, we made it through. We were so happy to get back to California. It's like, it was so bittersweet because I wish our time there had gone differently. I'm so thankful though that we had time with family that we did, and that, you know, if we're going to quarantine for that long, that we were doing it in a brand new, beautiful house that we own. Like, how fortunate are we? And, you know, there's plenty to do inside the house. I ordered lots of deliveries of things furniture to set up and home decor for the house, and Instacart groceries. And, you know, I feel lucky that we had to keep extending the trip, but we could do that. You know, we were lucky enough that we could pay the fees to board the dogs longer, to park our car longer, and the house we would have been paying for either way. So at least we got use out of the house. We got to actually stay in it our first month, which, you know, we wouldn't have done otherwise. And now that we're back to California, I'm just so happy to be like back in our space, back in some sunny weather, some vitamin D. We went and saw the ocean the very first day before we even came back to the house. We just like, the kids fell asleep in the car because they were so tired, and we just went and parked by the ocean and just watched the waves. And like, it just like, the whole trip like reaffirmed to me how much I love where we live, how much, you know, I get asked a lot, like if we would move to be near family, or my dog's barking. I'm just so happy to hear them bark in the house again. Our house was so quiet in Ohio because we didn't have dogs barking all the time. Although we had kids screaming all the time. But, you know, I get asked a lot if we would move back to Ohio or move to be closer to family. And I feel like this trip just like reaffirmed to me that like, life is short. You never know what could happen. You never know what kind of wrench life might throw at you. And like, it's really important, for me at least, and for our family, to live somewhere that brings us joy, and that like the priorities we have in terms of like getting outside, being able to do things outside, feel fresh air, like get the kids out doing stuff, that's something like that we're going to continue prioritizing. And we're super fortunate that like in the meantime we have this house in Ohio as a second house, and you know, we'll be somewhat bi-coastal. So I explain it more in the vlog I filmed, which will be out soon. But, you know, basically high level, our plan is to use that house as a vacation house. When we do go back to town, go back home to visit, which will be more frequent now, but when we do go back home to visit, we have a place to stay now, so we don't have to pay for Airbnbs or, you know, worry about finding openings anywhere. Like, we can just go when we want, and we have our house to stay in. It's decorated exactly how we want. It feels so homey. It was so good to be back home and feel at home at the same time. Like, we've lived in California for 8 years, and for 8 years, every time we go visit, it's like somewhat of an uncomfortable stay because we're in an Airbnb, or we don't have everything we need, or we don't have space for the kids, or we're sleeping on an air mattress at a friend's house in their living room, you know? And so it was so nice to just like have comfort of like a real bed, a real kitchen, plenty of bathrooms for everybody, a yard, stuff like that. Anyways, so we'll be using it as like a second house, a vacation house for us. And then when we're not there, we're gonna Airbnb it out. I don't think the Airbnb will be up running until like this summer maybe, because there's some stuff we wanna change in the house. I wanna make sure it's like fully accommodating and really comfortable. But you know, my goal is to make it a home that feels like a home away from home. It like truly has everything you could need to feel really comfortable. It's got like a master bedroom for us that has like a workout bike in it where you can put a tablet on it and do workout classes. There's smart TVs, so you could do Netflix or YouTube or anything like that from the TVs. There's a huge kitchen that's like really beautiful and open and airy, and plenty of space to cook with the pots and pans that are already there and, you know, lots of cabinet space. It really would be like an ideal, like, long-term stay. If anyone, that's how it's been for us, you know, if we go to town and we're there for like 10 days or more, or how, you know, even for a weekend, it would be comfortable. There's like a nice laundry room and a dining room and an office downstairs. So there's actually 2 masters. There's a downstairs master bedroom with a huge closet and a master bath, and then there's an upstairs one, and so we claim the upstairs one as ours, and then the downstairs one we're going to turn into an office. So there's like futons all over, so there's plenty of sleeping space. If I'm shaky, it's just because I've had a lot of coffee because I'm exhausted. We're still running on East Coast time, so yesterday we got up at 2:30 a.m. and like got up for the day and we're wide awake at that time, 2:30 California time. And then we've been going to sleep at like 6:30, 7:30 at night because, you know, our bodies are still like 3 hours ahead. So we're trying to get ourselves used to switching back. And typically our trips home to Ohio aren't long enough to actually get our bodies adjusted to East Coast time. Usually we're like running on West Coast time the whole time we're home visiting. And then when we come back to California, we don't actually have to adjust to anything. This time we were there for so long. I mean, we were there for a month, so this time we definitely adjusted. But yes, the house is beautiful. I will definitely keep sharing updates with you guys as it's decorated. Like I said, I have a whole vlog from when we first got there that I will put out from before any of us got sick. And it's unfortunate, you know, the home buying process was such a whirlwind. And I think I talk about it in that vlog. If not, I'll talk about it another time. But it was such a whirlwind and so stressful for me. Like, this has been a 4-month process for us to just buy the house. And then the last month, once we actually got the house, the last month was just like nuts. So the last 5 months for me have been emotionally and mentally like all over the place. And so that's, you know, it's made it hard to focus here. But now that that chapter is kind of over and now we can actually just enjoy the house and enjoy, I don't know what my curls are doing right now, but now that we can actually enjoy the house and just like enjoy the next phase of like home ownership, I feel like I'm going to be so much more of an open book. I didn't want to share a whole lot about our home buying process because a lot of it was up in the air and it was hard to even like get the house because even though we could afford it, it was, you know, our first time buying a home, but it would be our second home, but it was in another state and we're both self-employed but we haven't been self-employed for 2 years yet. So it was difficult. But we did it. We figured out a way to make it work. And, you know, I'm so excited to have this be something that can be in our family for a really long time. I picture the boys like taking their families back there, or, you know, when Christian's like 20, if he wants to go spend a summer in Ohio with his cousins, he can, and, you know, whatever that might look like. But, you know, I'm excited to go back and make some new memories that aren't COVID related in the house. We actually will be going back in March for Arlo's 2nd birthday we're gonna do in the house. And I'm just super excited for that. We'll be able to hopefully have a birthday party for him. I'm assuming things will feel a little bit more normal then. I know that can be a little optimistic, but that's all we have, right? So that's our plan, is to go back in March. My sister-in-law, who lives like a block away, is keeping an eye on it for us in the meantime. She's sort of like acting as our property manager. So she's been over there every day helping us like get things set up, helping us keep it clean. She's gonna handle like the Airbnb stuff, at least in person for us once that's up and going. I know that's a question I've gotten a lot. We also have a friend who's a cop in town, and so he's gonna help us like make sure there's like law enforcement keeping an eye on it for us too. Yeah, it's been crazy, guys. It's been crazy, but it's so good to be back. Definitely feel like, you know, we've got the good weather on our side here and we're back in our normal space. The boys are back with their friends and in school a little bit. We're all healthy, you know, and we made it past that big hurdle for now. But it felt weird not sharing with you guys. So it feels good to be able to sit down and just have like an open talk. And, you know, I'm excited for this year being much more open and vulnerable than maybe the last year or so. I feel like less guarded in a way. Like, I don't know why I keep getting emotional, but like, I really feel like what we just went through was just like such a mind fuck, like, pardon my language, but it was like such a mind fuck that, and like such a hurdle mentally and physically, and I'm still feeling so many of the effects. So I'm looking forward to like feeling much better and being back to 100% and being able to work out fully and, you know, do the things that like give me that physical release. And in the meantime, I'm working on the mental too. But yeah, I think that's it. I'm ready for the day, so I'm gonna go continue working. I am vlogging today, so the vlog I'm working on today you guys will see next, and let me know any questions that you guys have. I actually will be filming a Q&A in the next day or so for YouTube, so if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments down below and I'll answer them. But thank you for your patience and for just like always giving me grace and always accepting me. It's funny, I feel like YouTube used to be an area where like the trolls would come out the most, and now I feel like YouTube is like my safe space. So even though it does take a little longer to make the content, I feel like I can be more myself here sometimes, lately at least, and for that I'm really thankful. So just thank you guys for listening. If you are sick or going through it, or you have family members who, I know like so many of us have been affected by this, especially since the holidays. And like I said, it's not, you know, don't feel bad, don't feel guilty or ashamed. I didn't do anything other than have a dinner with my family, and you know, these things happen. And really the way our test went down, like I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, we had that family dinner, but I wouldn't be surprised if we got it from the grocery store earlier that day or something, you know, you just never know. But I don't know exactly where we got it from. That's a question I've gotten on Instagram, and like, it's so hard to pinpoint. Like, I don't know, but we are past it. And yeah, if you're experiencing the same thing or going through it, just know this too shall pass, and there are brighter days ahead for us all. I hope you guys are all staying healthy and happy and safe this new year, and I will see you guys very, very soon for another video. Thanks for watching.